Good morning. It's noon here in California. But this is morning. This is Michael for information and educational purposes only. Let's get our show started with our word of the day. It is Monday and start of a brand new work week. Our word of the day is exoplanet. Exoplanet, a planet that orbits a star outside the solar system. My childhood dream was to become an astronomer and discover a new exoplanet. So there we have it. And let us continue on. Let's go to our heat map. Just trying to find, here's our heat map. On FinViz. So we just want to refresh this, make sure we got the most current heat map. Microsoft is up a little over 1%, and Apple is down a little over 1%. Oracle is up. A lot of the technology companies are up. Communications, Meta is up 2.6% as it continues its recovery. Eli Lilly was down big time on Friday and now is up big time today, up over 4%. Energy is bouncing back. Financials are up. Amazon is up, and the consumer cyclical. Industrials look like they're mostly up except for Boeing. Tesla is up in auto manufacturing, and restaurants are kind of a mixed bag. So there we have it. And I want to share our screen, show people. If you've saved a lifetime and you don't want to have your account go down like it did in 2008, where it lost 54%, you don't think you have a long enough time horizon to gain that back, we recommend an annuity. Annuities still beat index investing by about 5% per year. As you can see, index investing bobs and weaves with the prices of the stock market. And if these go down, your account will go down as well. Whereas annuities will go up, they will not come back down, go up again. They keep climbing this step. And right now they're offering 30 to 45% bonuses. Plus you can still invest in indexes that are in the stock market, S&P 500, NASDAQ, global investment opportunities. And if they lose money, your account does not lose money. So that's the story there. If you want to find out more information, feel free to reach out to me. Let me share their screen again. Let's go to our charts. Marathon Digital and CLK, Plain Spark are up big time. Marathon Digital was up a little over 16%, and Clean Spark is up a little over 8%. Let's go to our dollar index. See how the dollar is acting today. Dollar is pretty flat, up 0.10%. Look at our metals market. Gold actually is bouncing today when the dollar is up slightly. That's interesting, up 1.06%. Silver is a big gap up in silver. Look at that, 3.5% up today. And then we're going to look at one of our favorite, copper mining out of Canada is up a little over 1.44%. It did gap up, and now it's on its low for the day, coming back to the base. This is a nice low pattern. It's working on the right side of the base. Southern Copper looks like we got a gap up, and it's near the high. Look at our copper index. Gapping up 1.13%. Freeport McMoran It kind of looks like ERO. It's up slightly. Volley looks like it was working on a bottoming base, and it's still moving up above its 50-day line here. Real up 1.31%. Big base is working on the right side here. And finally, BHP in Australia has been the weakest of the group. Still below its 50-day moving average, kind of weak there. See if we can take a look at our two crypto mining companies. See what they're doing today. Let's go here. It's a little slow, so we're just going to bring them up on our charts over here. It's not going to be the same exact pricing, but this will be the ETF. Ethereum was hanging out right around 3,000 today. It's off 0.31%. Bumped its head at its 20-day moving average. It's down slightly. Take a look at BITO. Was up over the weekend. It was up, still up 1.43%, was up higher. Hit its head on the declining 10-day moving average and has turned tail a little bit. Look at MicroStrategy, one of the big companies, has the largest amount of Bitcoin on its balance sheet. It gapped up. It was at 1310 at one point. It's pulling back to its declining 20-day moving average. So let's go take a look at the bond yields. Bond yields are going to put pressures on stocks. And right now it's continuing to fall down 0.11%. The bond yield is at right about 4.5%. And then take a look at our 20-year yield. It's at 3.61%. It's falling 0.58% today. Look at the VIX or volatility index. See if it can fill this gap here. Eventually all gaps fill on VIX. And why is that? Because it's an oscillating index. And it's inversely related. So it did move up some today, and it's pulling back from that move up. You watched our weekend update. We had some forecasts where we think it's going to go this week. So that's the story there. Has the biggest effect. Bond yields have the biggest effect on the small cap Russell index. Russell index is up 1.14% today. Take a look at the S&P 500, up 0.76%. The equal weighted S&P 500, take all the big cap techs out of the mix, and it's up 0.55%. The NASDAQ is above its 50-day moving average, up 0.79%. And our equal weight is up slightly, 0.37%, and the Dow Jones is up slightly above its 50-day, up 0.22%. So let's take a look at the underlying ETFs. making up the S&P. The financial is up slightly, up 0.89%. Wells Fargo had been leading as of late. It's pulling back a little bit. JP Morgan is up slightly. Take a look at our energy. Is bouncing. Take a look at our oil prices. It's bouncing a little bit. Weatherford, one of the big companies within the oil services area. We bought this back, when was it, 65? So it's got quite a run. It's right about here on this breakout. This is where we bought it. And it just continues moving on up. Right now we have, a couple of months ago, we sold covered calls at 125 for June. And we'll see if they take out our stock. Got a nice premium for that covered call, so that's why we did it. Take a look at communications. This is where Google and Facebook are leading in here, and looks like with the bounce in Facebook, it's up close to 1%. Utilities, look at that move from utilities. This is kind of the breakout area right here. We talked a little bit about Nicholas Darvas's box. Yesterday, this is a box. It's where you would buy as it continues to ride up. We're going to look at another portion of what Nicholas Darvas has said. You need to have stops on your buys, and we'll show you how to set that up a little later. With the bond yields falling, real estate should be moving up, and it's pulling back. Interesting. Here's our software. Got a little bit of bounce here. Microsoft being the biggest software in there, and interesting, there's an article about HubSpot joining a $1 trillion company. It's under the 50-day moving average, needs to work on the right side of its base. But if we were looking at Nicholas Darvas's box, it's kind of fallen back into this box area. So this is the box. Needs to get back up here in the blue area. We'll see if it can do that. Here's technology, ETF, bouncing. Looks like it's bumping his head against a 50-day moving average. Here's infrastructure. It's clearly above the 50. Semiconductors. Definitely above the 50 as well. Take a quick look at NVIDIA. This is a #1 stock on the market, plus the #1 in semiconductors. And it is up about 3.5% today. Volume still kind of muted over here. Here we got metals and mining, got a little bit of a bounce. Here we got home builders. Got a little bit of a bounce on the pullback in the yields. Airlines. That's a pretty nice bounce on the airlines. We'll see if it can clear the top edge of the box. Finally, leisure activities. Airbnb is one of the leaders in air here. It's kind of riding along inside that box. And the other one is Royal Caribbean. And it looks like it's trying to break outside of that box area again. So there we have it. Let's go to the news. Tomorrow, we're going to take a look at number of top 5 stocks in each sector for the next month from this other service. So feel free to check in on that. Richmond Fed President Thomas Barkin, he's a FOMC voter, will deliver a speech on economic outlook in Columbia, South Carolina. Audience and media question and answer are expected. New York Fed President John Williams will participate in a fireside chat conversation on the Milken Institute Global Conference later today. So here we go. Churchill Downs said wagering from all sources of Saturday's Kentucky Derby Day program set a record of $320.5 million, beating last year's record of $288.7 million. And the stock is moving on up into that breakout area. Fresh Pet, Q1 EPS 37 cents versus estimate of a loss of 23 cents. And yes, we have a huge gap up. Earnings came in at 171% better than year over year quarter. Whirlpool filed a Form 8K, noting on April 29, 2024, company began employee notification process of additional global workplace reduction plan. And they're pretty flat for the day on that news. Zeekr Intelligent Technology Holding, don't have a ticker for that. The high-end electric car brand, Geely Holding Group, is seeking to raise as much as $367.5 million in a U.S. initial public offering. Meritage Homes said it is offering $500 million of convertible senior notes due 2028, and they're filling the gap on that news, down 1.20%. Vistra, believe these guys are in the AI area, engage in retail and wholesale sales of electrical power generation and fuel production using AI. In that process, they announced a bit earlier, it broke out over here, so it is a little bit stretched. They're replacing Pioneer Natural Resources, PXD, who is being acquired by ExxonMobil. Saudi Arabia raised the price of its flagship crude for Asia the third consecutive month as the kingdom tries to tighten the market to prevent a global surplus. On to financials. Berkshire Hathaway A reports Q1 EPS $5.88 versus consensus of $4.27. Their stock is up slightly, up 0.5%. And look at that price for that stock, $606,000. Let's see what it says. They're concentrated in 5 companies. AXP, American Express, which was up 1.3% today. Apple, which was filling partial gap fill there. Bank of America. which is up slightly. Coca-Cola up slightly, and their other one is Chevron. So those are the top 5 companies in Berkshire Hathaway. And CNO Financial reports, raises a quarterly dividend to 16 cents from 15 cents. It is popping slightly here. And Manpower boosted its semi-annual dividend to 4.8% to $1.54 from $1.47. And their stock is moving up slightly, up 2% today. We looked at Marathon Global. They're going to replace Aon in the S&P 500/600 on May 8th. Aon to replace Vistra in the S&P 500, S&P 400 actually on that same date. See what anything happened to Aon today, and they're continuing to fall. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Files to sell 5.61 million shares of common stock for holders. They're actually up slightly on that news. And Steward Health files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy to get $75 million from Medical Properties Trust. Properties Trust is fallen to their 50-day moving average. It looks like a penny stock here. On to healthcare, Glycominetics. Shares tumble pre-market. Company said its drug to treat a form of acute myeloid leukemia didn't meet its primary endpoint. And it is definitely a penny stock, down 82% today on that news. Grifols said it's completed all domestic overseas government approval procedures for selling 20% stake in Shanghai RAAS to Haier. And their stock is up 7% on that news. Integra Life Sciences, Q1 EPS 55 cents was in line with consensus, and their stock is down 20% on that news. That's got to hurt, down $5.64. Novavax shares active after hedge fund Shaw Capital says it's urging shareholders to vote against election of 3 directors on the board of Novavax, and their shares are up, down 1.83% onto industrials and materials. Sales South America mentioned positively in Barron's, noting the company stands out from its competitors because of its AI service business. I'm not sure if this is listed on the exchange, because it doesn't want to pop up. EBIT Systems gets an initial $37 million contract to supply protection systems to General Dynamics Ordnance and Tactical Systems for upgrades to the U.S. Army infantry vehicles. And it's down. No, I think I did not clear. Yeah, it's still down 1.03% onto technology, media, and telecom. Perficient has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire an affiliate of BPEA Private Equity Fund 8, part of EQTAB, and all cash transaction values Perficient at an enterprise value of approximately $3 billion. And its stock is up 53%. Wow. They are going to be acquired, and I guess that price was a little higher than what they were valued at. Adobe Mentioned positively in Barron's, noting while shares of the company have fallen, investors bet in AI will erode the market to content creation software. Some investors expect Adobe's own AI-powered tools for consumers and professional designers will eventually be worth the investment. Adobe is up slightly. It looks like they may be working on a bottoming base as they get above the 20-day moving average. Luminar Technologies said it will cut about 20% of jobs and sublease parts or all of their facilities. They are not going in the right direction, down another 3% today, this penny stock. And finally, Han High Precision Industry posted strong growth in April sales, potentially raising expectations for iPhone sales, company which assembles a majority of Apple's smartphones. Did that do anything for Apple? I guess it bounced off the 200-day moving average, and that is our news for the day. So we're going to go to Thinkorswim and look at the other part of working with Nicholas Darvas's method. See if I can get to the right account. Here we go, right here. So say, for instance, you wanted to buy Clean Spark. This is what you would do. You would click on here. You would buy custom with OCO bracket. We'd want to get rid of one of these. Just delete that one. Let's try it once more. Buy custom. Or you could put it on with the stop limit. So this is kind of up to you, but we recommend possibly putting in a stop limit at 5%. It's currently trading at 1748. So it'd be minus 87 cents. So 1661. So you just put this up to 1661. Change this to yes, you put 1660, that's your stop. And then you just hit confirm and send. So you would buy the stock here. If it pulls back to there, you're out. You want to limit your losses. If you can keep your losses to 5 to 8% and your profits to 20, 25%, you're going to make money. And what Nicholas Darvas found out, that out of these box systems, he was wrong 50% of the time. He was right 50% of the time, but if you keep your losses small, and those percentages just will work out in your favor. So this is the second part of Nicholas Darvas's box system. As we continue pouring into his book, we'll continue to bring you new information. So that's our educational content for today. Tomorrow we will be looking at the top 5 stocks in their categories. I think there's 6 categories that the PNF is going to be sharing. Let's see if we can just go to that site. Just give you a preview. This is on Patreon, PNF models. So we'll bring this up tomorrow. They've been pretty accurate on their forecasting. So that's the story there. Go back to our Zoom. Let's share the screen again and just show what we're actively trading. So we talked about Weatherford, one of our accounts. We continue to hold TWST. TWST is working on the base here. The box would be set up. So it needs to break out of that box. Celsius had a big breakout over here, came up to 99.62 and has had a big sell-off. We'll see if it can get above 50-day moving average. And that will, I believe this would be kind of the box area. So it needs to get above here, get above the 50-day moving average. We'll see if it can do so. Elf Beauty. Wouldn't recommend this right now, but this is something we're holding on to. Bought it around 157. It's been kind of volatile. Pulled back right here to 153.72. It needs to get above 184. In this new area to be breaking out of their box. NVIDIA. This is the box area right around here. The low is 756.06. We do have shares in NVIDIA. We added to it after it got above its 50-day moving average. And we added some more today. And so that is NVIDIA. Kava Mediterranean Grill continues to do well with all the restaurant stocks that have been reporting. We put this on several times in the past. We put it on at 31. We sold around 48. And we put it back around 49. This is kind of the box area. So it does look like it's broken out. Thursday would have been a buy area. Their earnings aren't for another 23 days. Lift. We bought this with 1350 calls back over here. Had a big, really strong move up here to 20. And it is pulled back. So this would be See if we can draw the box here. Sure. Mine does not want to work here. Oh, now it shows up. Here we go. I believe that's where the box is. Their earnings are coming up tomorrow. So we'll just have to see if it can power through. It had a huge breakout over here, huge gap up on their earnings, which were unexpected. And it's just been kind of oscillating, bouncing back and forth within this box. This is one of our lower price companies. Originally bought it at 85 cents a couple of years ago. Bought it again at 179 right over here. Broke out, pulled back 163. And then we sold it 204. And then it pulled back here and we bought it back at 194 and we're kind of holding it. We did sell for later in the year. I'm not sure if it was, might have been in July, covered calls at 250. So continue to hold that position. Just scanning to see our other positions currently. And Apollo Financial Management got into this after their earnings. So they're just kind of bouncing around. I think we're in at 110 or 111. So right at the money right now. It's just kind of riding along on its 50-day moving average. Here is another finance. This is an IPO in the semiconductor area. We'd gotten out of this up here and we just added it back today, right around here. So we'll see. Looks like it may be forming a cup with a handle. It is a little volatile being an IPO. So we'll just continue to watch that. Fine, let's see. We did roll this position earlier today. AVAV. We put on 65.70 call spread and went up to 175. So we rolled it, got into the 175, 180, and it looks like we're going to have to roll it again. It's a good problem to have, I guess. So that is the story there. And then two other issues to take a look at. RTX. Put them on earnings. First we did the 95 to 100 spread and we rolled it over. And then we converted that $100 share offering. And it's just trading pretty flat right here. We'll see if it can move up. We did put in a covered call at a 105 for 2 weeks from today. We'll see how that plays out. And then our final one that we put on right after earnings was Qualcomm. Put that on at 177. And a little bit of a pullback here. And now it is bouncing. It's up to 181. So that's a look at what we're currently doing right now. The markets are up slightly. Let's take one more look. Remain near their highs for the day. And we wish you a great start to your week. Happy Monday to everybody. Go out there and keep working on your goals and your activities. We can help you with any of your financial goals. Feel free to reach out to us and go out there and have a great week. We'll see you back here on Taco Tuesday.